Hey everyone.
Hi.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys. Welcome to
Creative Happy Hour
where we get drunk
on the creative possibilities.
every week with
Yes,
our
we
creative bitches. Yes, we do.
Woo.
Woo! Yeah, we do. Today
We're
we are
feeling a little sleepy.
feeling a little sleepy, and we're in our jammies, which we were gonna discuss.
Yes.
Because we're talking about
We're talking about sleep and creativity.
sleep and creativity.
A super important topic.
It is a very important topic, and we are drinking a nightcap. So we're going to talk to you guys about the history of the nightcap, sleep and creativity, and what you can do to foster your creativity, creative sleep, to get more sleep. And Micah's going to talk about an awesome book about why we sleep.
Whoop, whoop.
Yoo-hoo. Okay, cheers to you. Let's taste our nightcap. Okay, let's give it a try.
I guess if I yawn on this episode, it's a good thing.
Ooh. Kind of strong.
That'll put you to sleep.
That'll put you to sleep.
That'll knock you right out.
That'll
Wow.
knock you right out. So we made a modified Sazerac. And the Sazerac is normally, it's pretty tasty.
It's pretty good, but it's got
It's
got
got a kick to it.
This
This might put
kick
us
you
to
right
sleep.
into bed.
Right into bed, right into a creative sleep. So the Sazerac is normally, you make it by rinsing the glass with our nice absinthe.
The green fairy.
The green fairy that's going to come and just bring you those wonderful
Night, night.
REM vibes. So the absinthe rinse, and then we put in some rye.
Rye
so the
whiskey.
Four roses.
Four roses,
Four
yes.
roses, rye whiskey, a little bit of Angostura bitters. You
love those.
stir those in a thing with just a piece of big ice. You don't. So the thing with the nightcap is you don't want your nightcap to have an ice cube in it. Never, because it's supposed to warm you. It's supposed to get you ready for bed. So we just stirred it up, filtered it in. Normally you garnish it with a lemon or an orange, but
We were too tired to mess with that.
right? We were too tired to do that. So we didn't do that, but this is really nice. I mean, the history of a nightcap, obviously you all know what a freaking nightcap is. It's the thing you wear on your head to keep your noggin warm when you're sleeping, but it's also the last drink that you have before bed. And a nightcap is not like beer or wine or whatever you've been drinking all night.
Yeah.
And it's not an aperitif. It's not a cocktail. It never has any ice in it. It's not too complicated. It's something soothing.
It's super, it's a little bit strong.
Strong, something that you sip.
It's
so
a small amount that you sip.
Much smaller amount that we
Yeah.
and then we
And we
ever
know.
go with.
Yes, exactly.
And you just sip it, usually with somebody, before
That you're going to bed with.
that you're going to bed with. There you go. So that's what we did with this. You could do like an Irish cream, or you could even do a hot toddy. Like that's another nice thing.
You can do just like a shot of bourbon, a shot of whatever.
Exactly. A sipping rye.
Sipping
I'll
rye.
say even an old sipping tequila might work, but that might get you kind of riled up, I think.
Yeah.
Tequila make you crazy.
It's something to, And I mean, I even read in some, like a nightcap could even be a warm glass of milk.
I know,
which
but
is kind
that's
of
fine.
disgusting. I mean,
not
who drinks
creative at
milk
all
anymore except
Psychos.
psychos.
So we have our Sazerac, and I think it's nice. What are we thinking
It's really
about?
nice.
Can you really detect a lot of the absinthe in here? Not so much. It's
How much did you put in it?
Not much. I just
It,
rinsed
it
the
has
glass.
kind of a licoricey.
Oh, that would be the absinthe talking right there.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of hair on it.
A little bit of hair on it, as one does.
Hair of the dog.
Hair of the dog. The bitcha. I think is really nice. I mean, I don't know if I would make a habit. Like, I think I would do more of a special occasion kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is thematic. However, like all the things that I read about sleep and inducing good sleep and getting good sleep.
They were all bummers.
They
like,
were
"Don't
all
do the
like,
alcohol."
do not drink alcohol
I know.
because it's...
They say it might work, like maybe if you do it once or you do it twice.
Yeah.
They're like, if you start doing it more, then you run into this problem where it actually is going to impact your sleep, and especially your REM sleep.
Right.
Which is the most creative sleep.
Yes.
Right? So that's kind of a no-no. I have to say that I have ZzzQuil kind of often, and that's got alcohol in it, and it's kind of got that warming thing to it. And it's psychological, too. And there's a psychological aspect. Right?
Oh, for sure, because it's like, oh, you're winding down, the lights are low, you're taking a hot bath, you're having your little nightcap drink,
It's
and
part of your routine,
it's
your sleep
all
routine.
about getting the nervous system calmed down.
Exactly, like eliminating the blue light, which we like to do in an ideal world. And again, this is not an ideal world. So I unfortunately do too much of that at night. Hence, maybe that's why I don't sleep so much. Should we talk about our jammies? Because I think that putting on your jammies.
So I have my cozies on. Nothing special.
Nothing special.
I mean, I usually have a little something more of a lingerie thing that I wear.
Yeah,
I sleep in.
Treat yourself.
But I didn't think that was appropriate for the
It'd be
video.
distracting for the show.
Yeah. I mean.
Exactly. I am wearing a cute little wrap kimono thing by a brand in Carmel called Ruffle Me to Sleep. And this is a really cute story. It's this nice lady in Carmel. She makes these by hand or by machine, obviously. They are all kind of, one of a kind, very soft, super pretty. And we will tag her up here. We'll put her Instagram.
Ruffle Me to Sleep.
Ruffle Me to Sleep. Isn't that sweet?
So sweet.
And whenever you talk about, which one should I choose? And she's always like, I think you'd be comfy in this one. And so comfort is a big thing when it comes to sleep. I mean, and also people now are doing those weighted blankets. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, it's all about the sleep hygiene and getting in that space
getting
where
in the zone.
Your body your nervous system can
chill the fuck
do
out.
what it naturally wants to do is sleep.
Which, we all wish that would happen all the time. I find that kind of putting a heavy blanket on is actually kind of nice. I kind of like it. Kind of makes me chill the fuck out too.
Yeah, so totally.
It's a nice thing.
It is.
So should we talk about your book?
Yeah. So we'll talk about the book
that you read.
Okay, so the thing about this is I recommend that you read the book. It's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams. And
very cool.
This guy, Matthew Walker, is a PhD. He teaches at UC Berkeley.
Awesome.
And this book is fabulous because he does about 20 years of research.
Wow.
I mean, sleep is one of those, it's one of those things, we know about exercise, we know about diet, we know about, but sleep is one of those things that for a long time we didn't really understand what was the importance of sleep.
Absolutely not. And also I think that creatives often have this thing of the insomniac, that poetic side of being an insomniac and thinking that you're going to start being almost quasi delirious at some point.
And I'm going to give you some examples of people
I like
that were some of the most creative thinkers of our time
and
historically.
How the dreams or the sleeping impacted that. Yeah, I had a list of those as well. So we can see if we've got the same list or different. This is going to be amazing. Okay, so what more can you tell us?
So basically, I'm not going to tell you all about Why We Sleep and all of the details because you really should read the book. I think for your overall health, figuring out a way to get in touch with your circadian rhythm and start getting sleep. When you read about the health consequences of not getting enough sleep, you will be like, holy shit, this is my new Bible.
Right?
Not
we want
just
our beauty sleep.
Yeah, not just for creativity, but for your overall health and well-being. Getting more sleep is absolutely essential.
Sure. And if you're dead, you can't be creative.
Exactly. And so if you're, exactly.
Right?
That's what I was
And if you don't sleep, a lot of people say that you gain more weight if you don't
gain
sleep.
more weight.
That sucks. The camera, our camera actually adds about 25 pounds. So,
Yeah. So we're really anorexic
we
here.
are.
No.
But no, if we only got more sleep, but you've been trying to get more sleep.
I have, I got a Fitbit, so I've actually been tracking my sleep.
You have, and you've been doing better and better.
And it's fascinating because
you're an overachiever.
Yes, and you can make sleep goals and all these things.
I like it.
But there is a whole section in here that talks about sleep and creativity and creativity in the context of not just being an artist,
but
problem solving,
associations of ideas
and yes. So it's this book, I highly recommend it.
You've been asking me to read it for
Matthew
the past
Walker
couple months.
I would love to meet this guy at some point.
Yes, and maybe we can. Shout out to Matthew Walker, PhD.
Call me. We'd love to have you on the show.
Exactly. If he's got an Instagram, we'll be putting it up here, and we'll be hopefully getting some kind of link to him because it is such an important subject.
It is.
Okay, so what did we find out? What are the major takeaways?
So basically, you have these different sleep levels that you get into. There's the non-REM sleep. There's the REM sleep,
which they say is the most creative.
Most creative. So what happens during REM sleep is this is all, this book is very, very scientific, but basically the gist of it is that when you're in the non-REM sleep, your body is your brain is kind of dealing with all the activities that happen during a day.
Yeah, it's kind of doing a replay.
And it's doing a replay.
That's the memory shift.
Yes, it's repeating it from memory. What the REM sleep does is it organizes these memories and these ideas into a type of...
a new cohesive kind of framework, a new story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so...
and those are the dreams that we remember, correct? When you're doing the REM sleep, these are the dreams that we tend to remember. They're the dreams that make more sense.
Yes.
They're the longer feeling. Those are when you write down your dreams. Like, that's probably REM.
Yeah,
dream,
so the
right?
brain, so basically in this REM sleep, this is also when you have dreams, this is the dream state. The brain will take great amounts of acquired knowledge and extract overarching rules and themes. So it kind of creates the gist of what you're...
And that's where you say, like, when an answer came to you in a dream.
Yes.
That's kind of the REM thing. I mean, they talk about all of these people who kind of, if you like, when they say, let me sleep on it.
Yeah, no, that's a
what it
real
means.
thing, and it's actually recommended. So then when we wake up with this revised mind capable of, divining solutions of previously unpenetratable problems. So that's exactly what you're talking about. You have a problem, and you can't figure it out, and you're like, you're beating your head against the wall.
And weird connections will come
and maybe you've done all of your research, you've done all the work, you've ran all the experiments, you've done all these things, but you just can't seem to put it together. Yeah. This is where this type of sleep is going to help.
That's where the connections happen, and making connections is a huge piece of creativity.
Yes.
That's what the creative mind does, is make new connections between things.
Totally.
So that's amazing.
So he goes as far as to describe it as ideesthesia.
Oh, ideesthesia.
And that this is the aspect, I mean, he's, I guess, basically saying that this is where we've made our evolutionary leaps.
Oh, okay.
That dreaming...
So the quantum leaps, like where you're not fettered by reality and what you're thinking. You're not shutting yourself down, and you're not, so often we self-censor our ideas before we even have them out complete, because we're like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that some of those ideas that your REM sleep is promoting, it's like, yeah, exactly. I'm going to have those ideas come out. It's going to make sense at the time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
So he talks about A Dream by Dmitri Mendeleev.
Oh.
Mendeleev? Is that how you say it? Dmitri Mendeleev. So he was the guy that invented the periodic time, or the periodic table. And so in February 17th of 1869, don't get used to it. That's a date.
Dates?
I wrote it down.
She wrote it down. She's cheating.
So
she didn't get enough sleep for dates.
I know. I wrote this shit down.
Yes.
Okay. He was a Russian chemist, and he was kind of obsessed with elements. And he really wanted to put them in some kind of order.
Made sense. That we would have to learn afterwards in high school. Thanks so much, Dimitri.
Yeah, so so Dimitri was obsessed with this. So obsessed that he made his own playing cards with all these elements on the playing cards.
What a fucking nerd.
And no, he was so geeky, and he would constantly shuffle them and try to figure out an order to put them in.
So his brain absorbed all that shit.
Made sense. And so it's basically, and he did this for years. Pondering, trying to organize them so that they made sense. And sorry, that's my nose.
She's waving her nose around. She's going wild.
So the story goes is after 3 days and 3 nights of not sleeping, he finally was exhausted.
Okay, he fell into a deep
and
sleep.
he probably had a nightcap if he was someone like us.
Yes.
And he fell asleep. And that was the point where he went into a dream. Wow. And his brain organized the periodic timetable for him. And he woke up and wrote it all down. Wow. And he even said that there was only one correction that he had to make after.
That's incredible. Well, you hear about, so there's so many people who just like download something, and they kind of write a whole book about it. They're like, it came completely formed. And that, I think, is a dream state. That's amazing. I mean, how cool is that? But there's a whole, when they say that sleep actually repairs you, that you can't actually heal when you're not having the REM sleep. Yeah. And there's a scientist out there, and I've completely, of course, names, numbers, figures, I don't know. But this guy, we'll pop it up here because it's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, I want to check it out.
He's been curing cancer in like mice and people and by touch. Have you read about this guy? Absolutely
no, but
great.
I believe it. I mean, when you read the science of what your body does when you're sleeping in these different sleep levels, you're like, holy shit, like forget about dieting, forget about exercise. Like you'll just want to go straight to bed.
Straight to bed, which I think is a good thing. But this guy basically said that if you cycle through a certain number of images, in your brain, so it's kind of this waking hypnosis, where you cycle through these images and you learn how to cycle through them faster and faster. That it induces almost like an artificial REM, because your eyes are kind of like, you have to cycle through it. And so it's this movement. And I think it replicates what the REM sleep is. And that in itself makes your brain then lets go of its resistance to healing you and having to deal with all of your bullshit, and can focus on the healing process. And I'm like, that is very woo-woo, but that is a really cool thing.
Well, I mean, you start having these insights and fast-tracking this information when you have it. I mean, this guy's probably sleeping 8 hours or more a night.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
And he's he's making these connections.
It's amazing. Well, Paul McCartney, didn't he? Right? Oh, that was
Paul
one
McCartney,
of our examples.
that was one of my examples.
Did I steal your thunder?
Well, the next one was a neuroscientist, Oho Lowy.
Okay.
And he actually got a Nobel Prize.
Yes, I read about yes.
Because he dreamed of this very complex frog experiment where he was able to reveal how nerve cells communicate.
I mean, dude,
so
that's amazing.
So it's pretty badass.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, I mean, we're not even science geeks necessarily. I mean, maybe more than some people we are. But that sort of thing is where scientific research and creativity meet right there. Like, that access. That's incredible.
I don't know who I was listening to. I was listening to this quantum physicist on a Joe Rogan show, and I wish I could remember his name. But you look him up.
You've talked about this guy before.
Yeah, he's fantastic. But I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Hold me to it. Hold me to it.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how there's all this like research and all this information that we have, but there haven't really been any really big discoveries.
Oh.
Like, at least in physics. At least in physics. And so you could see
since Einstein, which was like kind of major, ever since then, I guess you can say that
there hasn't really been quantum, there like the E equals MC squared, all that stuff. There hasn't been a lot of,
Well, it's the quantum leaps in physics that make the difference. Like everything else that just piggybacks off of it is not as impressive, but I guess that it takes that dream state to kind of get that quantum discovery.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of our guests, and you'll have to look back, if you subscribe and you keep looking at our stuff, you can look for it. Our talk with the artist Linda Cosgrove, her brother-in-law, Carrie Mullis, was a Nobel Prize winner who discovered the whole process for kind of sequencing DNA.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me about
during an acid trip.
Yeah.
And I think that the acid trip kind of replicate also. I mean, REM is like an acid trip. You don't need to take acid, and
all you got to do is lay down in your bed, put your computer away.
Exactly. And he came up with that. I mean, that was an absolute quantum leap, in that realm. Totally crazy. And I don't think he would have. All of those pieces wouldn't have come together had it not been for that altered state.
Oh,
where
totally.
His brain was able to just run with it.
It got your conscious mind out of the way.
Totally.
So that your brain can do what it wants to do, is put things together. And,
exactly.
What did he call it? It's like information alchemy or some kind of alchemy.
I like that. That's cool. Information alchemy. I mean, whatever it is. I'm all down for alchemy, so I like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. So Paul McCartney.
That was, what was it, yesterday?
Yesterday and Let It Be. They were both, I guess, precipitated from some kind of dream.
Okay, but those are hardly quantum physics. I mean, not to be cruel, but the whole melody.
No, but it's creativity.
It is creativity. The whole melody, the lyrics, everything was downloaded. I mean,
my boyfriend Paul will say sometimes he wakes up and has like a song in his head.
Wow, yeah.
And then he's like, and sometimes if I don't write it down or do something with it, then it'll go away. It
goes away. And I think that that's what's so important. I used to have a dream journal, and I know that when I had my dream journal, my dreams seemed that much more vivid because I think my brain was prepped to remember them. And also maybe it was like, ooh, she wants something from me. So we're going to be talking a little bit later on about how to push and force that whole creative dream state, and we'll be telling you guys how to do that. So you definitely need to keep listening, despite all of our antics.
Lucid dreaming and stuff like that.
Well, not only lucid dreaming, which is when you're awake, but you can you can train yourself to do that.
Yes.
But even when you're asleep, to prep yourself to have that really productive REM dreaming state is super important.
Yeah.
But okay, so what else?
Keith Richards, he dreamed of the opening riff of Satisfaction. Apparently,
that's kind of fun. Okay.
Yeah, and he would keep his guitar next to him, so if he had a dream, he could he could play. Play it.
I think that immediacy, like that whole thing when they say one of the biggest lies a creative tells themselves is, I don't need to write that down because I'll remember it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that really having the guitar next to you, having the notebook next to you, having, you know, that is really major, because I think it does tend to kind of disappear throughout
it
the
does.
day. Our brain takes over, and it's all the boring, mundane tasks take over, and you're just like, well, shit, where'd that go?
You kind of have to grab it when it...
Grab it.
Grab
Yes,
it.
Grab it. Yeah.
So, you know, basically he talks about code cracking and problem solving.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
That REM sleep is capable of creating abstract, overreaching knowledge and superordinate concepts out of sets of info. So you have all this information and it can kind of organize it into sensible patterns and concepts.
Well, I'll tell you a crazy story. So when I was in high school, I was in AP physics, and I kind of sucked at it just because I didn't study or didn't even try or whatever. And my physics professor at the time, who thought that I was awfully cute and, you know, trendy and wore cute glasses and outfits, he just complimented me on my outfits, and he was like, listen, I'm not going to name names or even say which high school I went to, because I don't want to ever get this guy in trouble, because he saved my ass on many an occasion. He's like, I'm not going to even like grade your exams because it's not worth it. You're going to fucking fail it. So I'm just going to give you a B. Does that work? And I was like, yes, that totally works. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And students find out, and they're like, bitch always gets a B. She never studies. She's never like, what the hell? And so before the final exam, he's like, I'm so sorry, but I'm really going to have to grade your final exam. Like in real life, I can't just let you coast along. And I was like, I'm going to frickin' fail. So I cornered this guy in the library, this Chinese guy. And I was like, you're going to give me all of your exams. And I photocopied them, and I saw how he, you know, solved all of these equations that I'd never even seen in my life. I went through it, figured out how he did it, and it was really clear, because
and then you went to bed early and slept on it.
And then I went to bed. I slept on it, and I had this crazy dream with all these equations flying around, and I was on a swing, and the swing was doing an arc, like a physics arc, and I had the velocity, and I had, you know, all of that shit happening. And then
this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Isn't that insane? And then I came up with this whole crazy equation in my head of how you could figure out not only the arc going this way, but if I jumped off, like how to calculate how far and like what my path would be. It was absolutely insane. Anyway, short end of the story. Not only, I mean, I could have probably won a Nobel Prize in physics, but I didn't. But I did get the best grade in the class on the physics exam.
You've got to be effing kidding me.
They couldn't believe it. They couldn't.
Oh my God, cheers. That is such a great story. Right? I can't believe I've never heard that. Yeah. That's incredible.
Right?
I love that story.
I left out the part about totally bullying the guy to get his exams, but that's fine. I mean, that's expected, I think.
I mean... It sounds pretty standard procedure to me.
It's not surprising.
Can't say that I haven't bullied a physics teacher or six in my day.
I mean, whatever. So yeah.
Well, I mean, so that goes along with this experiment that they did.
That's why I said it. I was trying to be like,
you were like leading into this.
Yes.
So essentially, they did this experiment where they gave them a test, and it had a little shortcut that you could figure out. If you could figure out the shortcut, then it like all of a sudden it became easier.
Oh.
So what they did was they did a group of people that had, you know, solid, you know, they showed them what it was. They showed them the thing. They got a solid, you know, 8-9 hours with really solid REM sleep. And then the other group, they
were cramming all night.
They deprived them
the
of
shit out
sleep.
of them. It's a little cruel.
So the ones that were deprived sleep, 20% of those people were able to figure out the shortcut.
Okay.
Which
they're still smarter than the average bear, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's not bad.
The ones that got a full 8 hours of sleep, good solid sleep, 60% of those people figured out the shortcut.
Wow, that's an incredible result.
So I mean, this book is cram-packed full of real scientific studies.
Love it. Unlike the fake scientific studies that we sometimes cite. Whatever. I mean, nobody's perfect.
I mean, Google does that kind of stuff sometimes.
Wikipedia will do that shit to you all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I mean, it's like I don't see any reason why getting more sleep isn't going to hurt you.
No, God, it's a great thing.
It's only going to help you.
It's only going to help you. I mean, and I think that all of the artists who thought that being completely sleep deprived and nuts, that goes back to our whole exploration that we had before about the insanity and creativity and about sobriety versus being drunk and creativity.
Right.
Like, I think that sadly, it's actually kind of hard for us to justify, you know, being completely trashed and being creative. It doesn't really work that way. Like having some balance in your life, maybe just a nightcap once a week, you know, that's
Yeah.
good. But
Don't
otherwise,
overdo it.
Don't overdo it.
Oh my God, it's happening.
God.
This nightcap is working.
I'm not going to yawn because I'm a psycho. It's going to be fine.
Oh
Like,
my
I'm not
God,
affected.
she's going to stay up all night and act crazy.
Yes, I am. So let's talk more. So what the conclusion is?
So
yeah,
basically, yeah. So you know, it's jam packed full of reasons why you should sleep and how it makes you more creative. And
I love it.
I mean, I have been trying every night to get more sleep.
You have. You're so good. And I've been trying, failing a little bit, but sleeping later. And I think that's my heavy blanket. So I'll tell you, that's that's one of my, you know, and also when it gets cooler, because your core temperature has to go down, and you know, warming other things like and then having your extremities getting cooler is kind of a good way of fostering sleep, which is one of the reasons why this works a little bit.
Yeah, they also say bathing before bed because
so that you can cool down.
Cools your body.
Yeah, the cooling down
ultimately.
process. Yes.
And so yeah, there's all kinds of, you know, you can read all about sleep hygiene. Like, don't spend time in your bed that doesn't have anything to do with sleeping. Like,
exactly.
You don't want to be like researching, doing homework in your bed. Yeah,
all
all
that's
this
what I
shit
do. All the shit that I do.
Yeah,
is
like
wrong.
I read for 10 minutes and I fall asleep.
See, that's awesome.
And
Because
so,
I need to train myself to start just reading fiction.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really good thing, because you're not going to sit there and worry about how am I going to apply this.
Exactly.
You know, though I have studied by reading all of the vocabulary terms or whatever right before going to sleep. And they say the last thing you see before you go to sleep and then the first thing you see in the morning, that can kind of enter your little noggin a little bit better, and you can make those connections. So that's something that I believe in, and it's desperate. And sometimes I've also slept with my book under the pillow, you know, to learn by osmosis.
Oh, totally.
I don't know. I try.
Well, I mean, he basically argues in this book that, you know, companies that are, I mean, I guess some of the companies, like, what's the one? I mean, NASA has really strong sleep culture where they know the benefits because of people traveling to space.
Well, because they study all of their vitals and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, it's major, and you can't have anybody losing their shit in space.
Some other major companies that, you know, they really encourage, you know, I mean, I think Google is one of them where they really allow you to kind of make your own schedule so that
with what works with your circadian rhythm.
Exactly, because he talks about night owls and morning doves, or what, I don't know what he calls them, but But there's types.
There are types, and well, there was an interesting takeaway from that, which is kind of, you know, they tell you, you know, when should you be productive, and then they say your creativity hours can happen when it's not your productivity hours, because then your brain's not focused on achieving so much as on just kind of being more loosey-goosey. So that's kind of interesting. Like, maybe being creative right before bed is not a bad thing,
right?
You know, like, that's actually a good time to be creative, bad time maybe to be writing a report.
And he says that, you know, culturally we should figure out, you know, where you stand in that, because evolutionary, I mean, he kind of explains it as like, you didn't want everybody sleeping at the same time. You needed people that were watching the camp.
Watching for mountain
lions. So we've evolved to have different rhythms of sleep.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
And so, you know, it's a real thing. There are people that, you know, they don't want to get up in the morning, or they're morning people, or there's night owls. And
but there's that whole Puritan thing, that whole early to bed, early to rise thing, that you get guilted if you're a night owl, you get guilted if you sleep late. And then now, like, they're saying that high school students, where high school starts so freaking early, and these poor high school students, I think they're less creative than ever because they're losing out on a lot of that productive sleep, and they're being cheated. I think it sucks.
He's like begging for a paradigm shift. I mean, he's even talking about the people like nurses and police officers not being able to cope emotionally because they're not getting enough sleep doing night shifts. And
I think that emotions are a big thing that has to be tapped into when you're being creative. And I bet that your emotions get totally blown out.
Yeah.
Or you get your anxiety.
He actually says you can't read body language properly if you are sleep deprived. And he said, so here we have people, police officers, nurses, doctors, all these people that are really important people in our community that are sleep deprived, and they're no longer, their brains are unable to really understand body language very well.
That's really scary.
They misinterpret things.
Well, that's why they accidentally shoot people in the ass, because, you know, not cool, but if they can't read that body language, and I'm not excusing that because that's a whole other major issue, but if on top of it you can't diagnose what somebody's actually doing or acting like, that's super dangerous. Or if you're a doctor who can't read the patient who's faking versus the patient who is trying to keep it in but actually has something serious. I mean,
because you haven't slept, you know. So there's a huge manifesto in this book. Not just for creative, but but he's telling companies like, if you want more creative people in your company,
which everybody
make
does,
sure
by the way,
they get sleep. Make sure they get sleep. So
amazing.
I
think we'll all be going that way too, because first of all, the world is anxiety producing and we need to soothe ourselves a little bit more into sleep, but companies that do need more and more creativity to keep up with everything that's happening and all the changes and everything else.
They need to nurture. They need to nurture those people.
Your sleep people. But have some nightcaps included in your benefits for your employees.
Yeah, Nightcaps Unlimited.
Right? Something like that. So let's talk about a few more. We talked about the Beatles. We talked about Rolling Stones.
Yep.
So let's talk about something a little bit more classic. So Samuel Taylor Coleridge also was one of the ones, he wrote parts of Kubla Khan.
Oh.
After a dream.
Oh.
And which is not, it's very dreamy, but it's super cool. Like, you think like for this English guy who was possibly kind of repressed and all this shit, like Kubla Khan was out there. You know? And
I haven't read it, but...
Oh, it's a long poem. I'm sure you have. You've read it.
I probably have read parts of it.
It's really out there. And actually, that's your home. Go home and read that. You will freaking love it.
I probably will.
Your pastel illustrations kind of, to me...
Are Kubla Khan-ish?
Yeah, Kubla Khan-esque. Exactly. I think so.
I like that. Yeah, now I really want to read it.
Totally. Salvador Dali, no surprise.
Yeah, that guy is like trapped in a dream, right?
Right, totally.
Like, can't get out.
Well, that's another...
Let me out!
Well, that's an interesting term that we're going to touch on in about a second. Paul McCartney that we said, and of course, Mary Shelley, who I think was probably also a little bit sleep deprived, but apparently she came up with, Frankenstein and all that shit after a dream, which is obvious, but they were telling stories. See, she synthesized all of that information, and she kind of downloaded that fully formed, from her mind. So I think that's fascinating.
And maybe she was sleeping a lot more then. I heard that there was a big volcanic eruption during that period.
It was darker,
and it kind of blacked out the sun, and so maybe that could have screwed with like your circadian rhythm. It could have made her sleep a lot.
Quite possible. I like that theory. That's a creative theory.
It was a creative theory. Don't you think?
I like it. That sounds great.
That's what we do here at Creative Happy Hour.
Exactly.
We create theories.
We create theories. We're really good at it, actually.
We are.
We're pretty
awesome.
So here's the interesting, is hypnagogia. So hypnagogia is that creative state that we're in when we're in that almost sleep and that almost dream state. And that's something that a lot of artists try to kind of promote and encourage and try to kind of train themselves or, meditate into being in that state more often. Because that's and that's kind of like the waking dream state almost. That's kind of interesting. So, and that's when both your alpha and your theta brainwaves are happening. So it's kind of a more balanced creativity.
And those are the more relaxed brainwaves.
Yes. Well, both of them, the theta. Yeah, exactly. The active and the passive. So apparently, Benjamin Franklin, who was super creative actually in the morning, he said he was in that hypnagogia state in the mornings. And and Benjamin Franklin, just, crazy inventions, quantum leaps in, stuff that he came up with. And so that was the state that he was in. And I wonder if some people kind of naturally are able to access that more.
Well, they do say, so the science basically says that when you are into these deeper, because those deeper REM sleep patterns happen earlier in the morning.
Yes.
It's later in the sleep cycle that it happens.
It's towards the end of the sleep cycle.
And they do talk about it lingering.
Yes.
And even in this creativity chapter, they talk about there's a period of lingering. This period of time when you wake up that's still... You're still kind of in that state.
So maybe that was the early to rise thing, because wasn't it Benjamin Franklin who actually said early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise?
Yeah.
Could have been that. We'll just attribute it to him. I have no idea. But I think that is it. He cultivated that. But also they say that there's a real link between people who can remember their dreams and who are more creative. And I think that you can promote that, like alternately, people who try to remember their dreams more are the more creative type. So it's kind of this circular logic. Did you ever have a dream notebook? Did you ever write down your dreams at any point in your life?
Yeah, I have. There's been periods where I feel like I dream a lot, and it's usually where I'm processing stuff. I feel like where I'm going through something and I process. I had a dream the other morning, and it was so bizarre because I had to be at work early. I wake up and I had a dream about Sammy Hagar.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
one of your pod crushes.
So I pull up in this parking spot, and Sammy Hagar is like in a Tesla next to me, and he's like, "Hey, dude," he starts talking to me. I was like, "Hey, Sammy," And
that could happen here. You never know.
It could, because he lives here.
Yeah.
So I have some interaction with him, and so I wake up, I have coffee, I get in the car, and this is all within like half an hour that I had the dream, and I'm in the car, and then I get in the car, and it's like he's singing on the radio. It's like that song.
When that happens,
why can't this be love?
See, and you're like, Sammy, why can't
this be love? And I was like, oh my God, he's reaching out to me right now. Right. Sammy wants to do a creative project with me.
That's so cool. See, then you were seeking out
my
patterns.
boyfriend was like, you're a psycho. But
no, you were seeking out patterns. And by the way, we're going to have to reach out to the numerologist, because there's a whole creativity about like willing to see those patterns that happen. And the patterns can be linked, like dreams and reality. When you can start linking those patterns, that's when things happen. I love that.
Yeah, so that happened. And I mean, yeah, and there's been times where I've written them down and then I've analyzed them, and I feel like, you know, they've led me to understand more about myself or things that I'm experiencing or going through, and they've helped me process things. So yeah, I'm a big fan of dreams.
I'm a huge fan, and you know, I kind of am thinking that I want to start doing a dream journal again, because the time that I did one, and it was a short time, it was right after high school, I guess it was, or it was at the end of high school or just after. And I was in France in the Northwest, where it rains every freaking day. It was boring as hell. And my cousin had just passed away at the age of 25. And I actually had this crazy dream about him, where he was talking about that death wasn't death, and that he was actually still alive.
Oh, wow.
And this whole quantum time thing dream, which was nuts, but very also reassuring, but interesting. But I started writing down all of my dreams, and I would have crazy wild dreams. Yeah. And as part of that, I wrote my first novel at that age, at 17, because not only was I writing down my dreams, but I started writing a whole other novel, and that whole thing came together at the time. And so it was really interesting. And I'm like, okay, now that I'm writing so much nonfiction shit, which I think is useful and good, but that I want to get back into my fiction, I'm like, I need to start doing that whole dream journal thing again. Oh,
totally. So, I mean, it makes me think of, you remember when I talked about the Red Book, the book that that Carl Jung did of all of the mandalas? Yes. Well, he went into a cabin by himself, and he was doing a dream journal. He was probably lucid dreaming too while he was and he was analyzing his dreams, and then it got to the point where he wasn't dreaming. Right. So then he started to make these mandalas. Wow. And that was where the whole mandala thing, because he like committed to go in and spend all this time, and then he ran out of dreams because he.
Well, see,
and who knows what was happening, but
because I go through periods where I don't. I mean, I must be dreaming. Yeah, we're always dreaming, but I don't remember my dreams.
I must be
dreaming, but I just don't remember them, and I wonder what is that? What does that mean? And is that bad? Do I need to freak out about that and lose sleep over it?
I mean, you got to read the book, but I definitely.
Damn it! One more thing.
I mean, it's interesting because I was like, my Fitbit must be broken, because there was this 1 week where I was getting into all these really deep dream, all these deep, REM and non-REM and all these different, and there's also something called deep sleep. There's all these, and so it would score me. And I didn't get any higher of a score than 86%, which
You're
is
like,
pathetic.
Listen, bitch.
But I was actually getting a score. So the past week, I was like, something's wrong with my Fitbit. It's not giving me a score.
Well, just like when it wasn't counting your hiking properly, because it's a bitch sometimes.
Basically, I read that if you're not going into these sleep patterns, then it doesn't register it as, you don't even get a score. Like, you don't even, like, you suck, basically.
You suck. Which
like, you're not even in the class, basically, is what it's saying. I should
borrow your Fitbit, and it's going to be like, you're a loser. You suck. Like, I need to make this better for sure. So what are some of the sleep hacks that you can do for better creativity? We've got a little list. Isn't that wonderful?
I love when she's listy.
When I'm listy, I do my little listicles.
I know, I love it.
So one of it is, we mentioned this before, sleep on it. So if you have a tough problem and you're not having a breakthrough, instead of losing sleep over it, try to sleep on it.
Sleep on it.
Sleep on
exactly.
it. Because all of those associations will come through, and whatever you come up with in the morning when you wake up, write that shit down.
Write it down.
So crucial. So there's that. Pay attention to your dreams. That's another thing.
Pay attention.
Super important. Like, so many people, I think that people who are maybe on the less creative side of the spectrum, they dismiss dreams as something kind of stupid, and it's like, oh God, that stupid imagination thing. Even daydreaming, like my son does a lot of daydreaming, and I'm always like, dude, but then I remind myself it's really important. Like, it's got to be fulfilling some kind of a purpose for him.
I mean, he talks about he talks about Einstein and how, you know, they're like, well, what about these creative people that are historically insomniacs? And he was like, well, we don't actually know for sure that he was an insomniac. We weren't in bed with him.
No.
However, he did, you know,
he didn't have a Fitbit.
He didn't have a Fitbit, so we don't really know the data.
We don't.
However, he was also known historically to nap a lot during the day.
Very interesting.
Which he does talk about, which I didn't get into in this section.
Little power naps.
But he talks about napping is also really healthy and helps with creativity and problem solving. That, you know, if you get the urge to nap, nap.
Do it.
It's
nap.
really
not behind the wheel.
No.
But nap. For sure. I think that that's majorly important too. And I'm really bad at napping. My husband can do the little cat naps.
Yeah.
And and they say it's 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes is the magic number for a nap. That stresses me out to no end. I can't do it.
It just freaks me out.
Yeah. So then they say read something inspiring before bed.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, right? I like that a lot. Either fiction or even something like that book. The sleep
this book would. He even says in this book, like
if
you fall asleep while you're reading this,
good.
That's what I want for you to like. I'm happy for you.
Well, yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Important.
It's really cute.
And then find a sleep routine that works for you. So we've all read about all these sleep routines. You know, again, the hot toddy or the bath or the glass of milk or the, you know, turning the lights down and, you know, no more screen time.
Oils, no more screen time. Make rules for yourself.
Yeah, whatever works.
A cup of tea,
like whatever works for you.
Yeah.
And I find like so many people that I know are we're so kind of nomadic. Like we tend to, you know, with business travel and with this and with that, try to bring a little piece of your routine with you, because I find it really disconcerting to be moving around and to not have my little habits for nighttime. Like it's going to wreck my sleep really fast.
I mean, he actually says, you know, go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time, even on the weekends. Try to get into because what he says is
you can't catch up.
You cannot catch up on sleep.
No.
People think, oh, I'm going to sleep all weekend and I'm going to catch up.
That's going to be bad.
You don't actually ever recover.
Yeah, and actually they say the early sleep. So if you can, and of course, if you're a night owl, it's different, but the sleep that you get between 10 and midnight is actually good, which I never get.
Yeah.
It sucks. But apparently that's really nice. Good thing to do. And I think when we have teenagers who have to get up so early, I think that that's, you know, kind of major. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, it's an interesting thing, I think, also is that they say that a lot of creatives have more vivid dreams than other people, which seems kind of unfair because I think it's something where like they're already good at having these super creative dreams. And so they're getting more benefit.
Yeah, but I think creative people just... They honor it more.
They honor it more, and I think they describe it in a different way. Because I think that somebody who's not inherently creative is going to say, oh, I had this weird dream about this, and it was just weird, and they're going to pass it off as weird. Whereas the creative is going to be like, how can we incorporate this? And we're actually going to incorporate some dream symbolism, and we're going to put in some of the symbols of what the common things that you dream about might be.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to include that right now. So...
Who is the book? Betty Bethard. Is it Betty Bethard? She was like a famous dream analyst. Well, I have her book, and so she was like one of these new age people, Betty Bethard, and I have her book.
Fantastic.
It's got like a little rainbow on it.
Oh, nice.
And you can look shit up.
Some of that. Well, what are some of the weirdest dreams you've ever had? Can you come up with some of the...
Oh, I had a dream one time where, and I actually feel like I was transported by some being because my body or my spirit was taken and I traveled out over the ocean and I was with this being, but I couldn't see the being. I could just sense them.
And also you've got that paralysis when you sleep that keeps you from running out the door or jumping out the window
so
when you
we
sleep.
Were flying.
And you can't turn your head.
And we flew out over the ocean and then we went down and we were helping some scene of, I don't know if it was like an injured whale or it was some kind of injured sea creature. And
I've had whale dreams and I've had and flying dreams are
I have lots of flying dreams.
And I don't have that many. Jalal has a lot of
I have a lot
dreams.
of them.
My husband does. Yeah.
There's one where I witness a plane crash.
Oh God.
And I'm part of the rescue team.
Oh wow.
And there's ones where I've been in the plane crash and I'm part of the rescue team.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, great.
You're like, wow, what's this, Groundhog Day? What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
See, my weirdest ones are ones where I am dead in my dream. So they say that you never die in your dream.
Yeah.
Right? That's that. But I think that might be an urban legend that if you die in your dream, you're going to die in real life, right?
No, I don't think that's accurate.
I don't think so either. Like, I've had a lot of falling dreams.
Oh, yeah,
but that's like that whole weird going to sleep anxiety shit.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of dreams where I was actually dead and I was looking for the other side and I'd see things in like negative colors.
Shit.
Super freaking creepy. And I'm going to tell you guys what that means in this podcast because I don't want you guys to worry about my insanity. But yeah, I've had a lot of historic dreams and a lot of like old building type dreams.
Yeah.
Castle dreams where the staircase is collapsing.
Oh.
Anxiety. Ooh, the worst one.
Tsunami dreams. I've had so many tsunami dreams.
That's horrible. The other huge anxiety dream, tooth dreams. You work in a dental office. Have you had tooth dreams?
No, but my brother has them all the time where he's like all of his teeth shatter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, those are anxiety dreams.
Yeah.
You just cannot help it. So not to make you guys anxious, we will soothe you now with a few little dream symbology things. If you're dreaming of animals, that has to do with nature and survival. If you're being chased in your dream, you're probably holding back a repressed fear of being the victim of an aggression. If you're dreaming of clothes, you're probably thinking of changing your lifestyle. So new clothes represent a lifestyle change, possibly. Also a new way of seeing yourself. If you're wearing shabby clothes in your dream, that means that there's some kind of vulnerability, maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome going on, and that's something that you should probably examine. If, however, you are naked in your dream, the nudity is a sign of vulnerability, is the fear of being exposed. However, if in your dream you're happy to be naked, you are wanting to be seen. If you're dreaming of an exam and that you're failing the exam, that is fear of failure, obviously. And it's interesting for you to see what the subject of the exam is, if that's part of your dream. That content is part of your personality, of your life that you are inspecting right now, that you're trying to make sense of in your dream. If you're dreaming of death, a murder dream means killing off a part of yourself, or it tells you that you really don't like someone. It does not mean you're actually going to kill them. At least I hope it doesn't. Usually death dreams are not premonition dreams. You need to remember that. If you are not murdering someone, but however someone is dying, someone who's close to you or even yourself, that represents change or new beginnings. It actually can be a positive dream. If you're dreaming of falling, that often comes, oddly enough, after a success. That's because sometimes after a success, we end up having a fear that comes from failing after the initial success. It's also a dream that represents a fear of losing control and of finding yourself in a position of letting go and losing control. If you're dreaming that you're missing a flight or a train, that's frustration at missed opportunities. So look back into what's going on and see if there's an opportunity recently that you have missed. It can happen when you're struggling to make a decision, and that's kind of your brain telling you that you need to decide or you're going to miss out on something big. Dreaming about losing teeth is super frequent. It's a fear of going old or unattractive. It's also a really classic anxiety dream, and it can be about fear of losing control or losing something. Look at and see how you're losing the teeth, or whether the teeth are moving or falling apart, what they're doing that could be significant. A dream about flying is interesting. They can be very different. You can be flying high or flying low and slow. You could be getting caught on things. So this dream expresses how you feel about the control that you have over your own life. You might be feeling like you're super in control and above everything, or that you are getting blocked by other things outside your control. A dream of a baby is a new beginning, or maybe it's a desire for an actual baby, who knows? It can be a really interesting dream about new projects coming to fruition, or generally something new in your life, and see what your attitude towards this baby is. That can be very significant. If you're dreaming about sex, that is not necessarily just about sex. It could be about making new connections, either with yourself, or with ideas, or with projects, or with someone in your life. It could, however, just be, about sex. I hope this symbology of dreams was useful to you. Micah's going to leave us so that she can go take her nap, because
I'm going to go.
It's that time. Night. We will see you guys next time to get drunk on the creative possibilities with us. Yay.
Cheers and good night.
Good night.
Sleep
Sleepy
well.
time. Bye.